Among the gods of Norse mythology, there is one figure who defies all expectations. A god who moves between worlds, who embodies chaos as much as cunning, who is both feared and revered. His name is Loki. Unlike Odin, Thor, or Freya, whose roles are defined by strength, wisdom, or love, Loki exists in the spaces in between. He is unpredictable, elusive, and endlessly fascinating. He is the trickster, the shapeshifter, the agent of change in a universe governed by order and law. Born to Farbauti, a giant whose very name echoes with force and destruction, and Laufey, a figure as subtle and mysterious as the whispering leaves of a forest. Loki's origins mark him as a bridge between chaos and civilization. From the moment of his birth, he embodies contradiction. He is not simply a god, he is a principle, a force that reminds gods and mortals alike that the universe cannot exist without unpredictability, mischief, and transformation. Loki's power is his fluidity. He is a master of transformation, slipping between forms with ease. A horse that births an 8-legged steed of unmatched speed. A salmon that escapes nets and traps. A tiny fly disrupting the plans of giants. Through his shape-shifting, he moves where others cannot, challenging the gods, bending the threads of fate, and proving that cleverness and chaos often walk hand in hand. Yet Loki's mischief is never purely harmless. His cleverness has shaped the cosmos in ways both wondrous and devastating. He plays a role in the forging of legendary treasures, yet he also orchestrates the death of Baldr, the beloved god of light. Through these acts, he demonstrates that chaos is inseparable from creation, and that even a god of mischief can alter the fate of the universe. Beyond his own exploits, Loki's legacy extends through his children: Fenrir, the monstrous wolf; Jormungandr, the serpent that encircles the world; and Hel, ruler of the dead. Each of them carries the mark of chaos, each a harbinger of the apocalyptic events of Ragnarök. Through them, Loki's influence becomes physical, shaping the destiny of gods and mortals alike. At Ragnarök, Loki's journey reaches its apex. Freed from his bonds, he leads the forces of chaos against the Aesir, engaging in a final confrontation that shakes the foundations of existence. His presence ensures that the cycle of destruction and renewal continues, that the cosmos remains in motion, and that order and chaos are forever entwined. In Loki, we see the embodiment of unpredictability, transformation, and the delicate balance between order and disorder. He is not simply a trickster, not merely a villain, but a force of nature within the Norse cosmos, necessary, enigmatic, and eternal. In this journey through myth, we will explore every facet of Loki's life: his cunning, his mischief, his acts of creation and destruction, and his ultimate role in shaping the fate of gods and men. This is the story of Loki, the trickster who defies gods, challenges fate, and keeps the universe in motion. Long before the halls of Asgard gleamed with gold, before Mjolnir thundered in the hands of a hero, the world was a place of untamed wilds and endless horizons. Here, amid frost-swept mountains and forests that whispered their own secrets, a child of contradiction was born. From his first breath, Loki would remind the cosmos that no law is absolute, no order immutable. The gods themselves would come to feel the ripple of his presence, a subtle tremor at first, growing into a force that would shape destinies. The air trembles with possibility when Loki is born. The jagged mountains of Jotunheim glint with frost, and the winds howl through forests untouched by mortal hands. From these elements he emerges, a being capable of crossing boundaries, moving freely between realms. His power is not brute strength, but fluidity, a mastery of forms. He can become a wolf slinking through shadow, a salmon darting beneath icy streams, a mare galloping across storm-swept plains. Each transformation carries him further into the unknown, further into the spaces where the gods' authority falters and chaos reigns. In these early acts, Loki's mischief is as natural as the wind itself. When a giant offers to build Asgard a fortress in exchange for impossible rewards, the sun, the moon, and the hand of Freya, the gods hesitate. Time stretches taut, like the strings of a harp before the first note is struck. It is Loki, moving unseen, who ensures the impossible task is undone, the fortress unfinished. In his cunning lies a paradox. By creating chaos, he preserves order, revealing that mischief can serve the very structure it seems to threaten. The first sparks of mischief are never loud. They stir in silence in the spaces between certainty and doubt. As Loki learned the art of transformation, he discovered that power lies not in strength alone, but in the ability to move unseen, to bend perception, to slip through the cracks of expectation. His journey from a being born of chaos to a master of forms would mark him as both an ally and a threat, a presence no god could ignore. Loki's gift of transformation is more than illusion. It is a tool, a survival mechanism, a symbol of the mutable nature of existence. He gives birth to Sleipnir while disguised as a mare, the eight-legged horse whose hooves drum like thunder across the plains of Midgard and Asgard alike. He becomes a fly, small and iridescent, buzzing unseen, sabotaging a giant's plans with the finesse of a spinning leaf in a summer breeze. He slips into the form of a salmon, scales glimmering in sun-dappled waters, evading capture with the silent grace of flowing currents. This fluidity, this capacity to inhabit many forms, mirrors the unpredictability he brings to the Aesir. Thor may swing his hammer, Mjolnir, and Odin may weave wisdom into the fabric of fate, but it is Loki who disrupts, shifts, and reshapes the threads themselves. Even his attempts at sabotage, such as meddling with the forging of Mjolnir, produce unintended marvels. From chaos come treasures. Draupnir, a ring that multiplies gold. Gullinbursti, a boar glowing like dawn. Mjolnir itself, forged stronger and truer because of mischief's interference. Yet even the most playful of mischiefs carries the weight of consequence. For every trick that delights, for every clever escape, there exists the shadow of loss. Loki's transformations, dazzling as they were, hinted at a darker potential. The threads of fate, delicate and interwoven, began to tremble under his touch. And when light itself fell victim to his schemes, the Aesir would learn that cunning, when untempered by care, can shatter worlds. Loki's cunning carries a weight far darker than clever tricks. Baldr, the radiant god of light and purity, beloved of all, becomes the instrument of Loki's most profound act of destruction. Baldr, invulnerable to every force save for mistletoe, falls victim to Loki's scheming. The weapon is small, almost insignificant in the hand, yet it delivers irrevocable fate. Light is extinguished, and the heavens themselves seem to shudder at the loss. The punishment of Loki unfolds in stark, harrowing detail. The gods bind him with the entrails of his son Narfi. The wind carries cries of grief across frozen mountains. The air hangs thick with the scent of blood and despair. Another son, Vali, transformed into a wolf, completes the cycle of horror by slaying Narfi. Loki, bound and twisted, hangs as a living reminder that chaos touches all, even family, even love, even the gods themselves. Bound and broken, Loki's story did not end with punishment. Chaos, like a river, finds its course even through the narrowest channels. From the shadow of his captivity emerged opportunity. Opportunity for upheaval, for innovation, for transformation. Even in misfortune, his influence would spur action, provoke ingenuity, and demand change. The universe moves in cycles, and Loki is always at the center of the current. Even in tragedy, Loki's presence provokes transformation. He steals Idun, bearer of the golden apples that grant the gods immortality. The air of Asgard grows heavy, time itself slowing, as age and decay creep upon the Aesir. Yet necessity drives innovation. The theft demands ingenuity. The threat compels action. Through the very chaos he unleashes, Loki ensures adaptation, forcing gods and mortals alike to respond, to change, to endure. The landscapes of these tales are vivid. Forests thick with fog and whispering leaves, mountains shrouded in snow and shadow, rivers glinting silver under cold moonlight. The air is alive with the scent of pine, the bite of frost, the distant rumble of unseen storms. In these spaces, Loki moves, unseen yet central, weaving mischief into every breath of the world. Mischief begets consequence, and consequence begets legacy. Loki's children carry the imprint of their father's chaos, each a living testament to the power of disruption. Through them, the ripples of his actions stretch beyond the immediate, threading through time and space, signaling that the end of one story is only the beginning of another. The stage for Ragnarök is being set, each act of mischief a note in the symphony of the world's destiny. Loki's children extend his influence beyond immediate actions. Fenrir, the monstrous wolf, tears through forests with jaws capable of swallowing worlds. Jormungandr, the serpent encircling the oceans, coils beneath waves that hiss and churn with the weight of impending doom. Hel, ruler of the underworld, presides over shadowed halls where the dead whisper and the cold lingers like a breath of winter. Through them, Loki's legacy of chaos becomes tangible, physical, inescapable. The world shivers in anticipation of Ragnarök, the final reckoning. When the final hour comes, the sky will split, mountains will crumble, and the seas will rise with wrath. Loki, unbound, will stand at the forefront, the culmination of every choice, every trick, every act of cunning. The forces he has sown, giants, monsters, and children of chaos, will march in a tide of reckoning. And yet, even as destruction reigns, the seeds of renewal stir, hidden beneath ruin, awaiting the world's rebirth. At last, the climax unfolds. Ragnarök, the end of gods and men, a storm of fire and ice, wind and wave, thunder and shadow. The sky split with lightning, the mountains shatter, and the oceans surge with fury. Loki, unbound, leads the forces of chaos, giants, monsters, and creatures born of darkness. He moves with the inevitability of storms, a force neither wholly evil nor fully good, embodying the principle that destruction is the precursor to renewal. He meets Heimdall in final combat, a clash that shakes the heavens. Blood mingles with fire and frost, the scent of ozone and iron hanging thick in the air. From this cataclysm, the universe tilts and trembles, yet from the chaos arises the possibility of rebirth. Loki's work, terrible and wondrous, is complete. He has reminded gods and mortals alike that life, like the cosmos, is never static, never predictable, never simple. And when the echoes of battle fade, when fire cools and oceans settle, what remains is not only ruin, but possibility. Loki's work is never simple, never finished, never solely for harm. In his chaos, we glimpse the pulse of creation itself, the reminder that life, like the cosmos, thrives on tension, on unpredictability, on transformation. He is a teacher of resilience, a mirror of our own adaptability, and a force that insists the universe can never be still. Loki is more than a trickster. He is chaos incarnate, a living paradox, a force that demands attention and respect. His shapeshifting, his mischief, and his acts of destruction and creation alike reveal a truth that transcends myth. The universe cannot endure without unpredictability, without challenge, without the ever-present possibility of change. Through Loki, the Norse myths teach that disorder is not merely destructive, it is transformative. It is a force that tests the limits of gods, reshapes the fate of mortals, and ensures that the cosmos remains vivid, complex, and in perpetual motion. He is necessary, eternal, and unforgettable. A god who embodies the delicate balance between order and chaos, mischief and wisdom, destruction and renewal. In the hush after a storm, in the silver gleam of frost under moonlight, in the whispering forests and jagged mountains, Loki lingers, ever present, ever unpredictable, ever necessary. As the echoes of thunder fade over the jagged peaks of Asgard, and the icy winds of Jotunheim whisper their secrets through the forests and mountains, we come to understand Loki, not simply as a trickster, but as a force that moves through the cosmos itself. He is chaos and cunning, mischief and inevitability, a being whose presence shapes destinies both mortal and divine. Loki reminds us that the universe is never static. In his stories, we see that every act of disruption carries lessons. Every moment of unpredictability forces adaptation, and every shadow of mischief illuminates a deeper truth: that life, like the myths themselves, thrives on balance, tension, and transformation. Yet, Loki's narrative is not without darkness. His role in Baldr's death demonstrates the profound consequences of cunning untempered by morality. The halls of Asgard darken, grief fills the air, and the bonds of family are stretched to their breaking point. The punishment inflicted upon him, bound by the entrails of his son, Narfi, while another son, Vali, carries out the tragic act, echoes across time. A stark reminder that even gods are not immune to the ripple effects of chaos. Loki's children, too, carry forward his legacy. Fenrir, Jormungandr, and Hel are embodiments of forces beyond control, each shaping the world and signaling the inevitability of Ragnarök. Through them, we see that the consequences of disruption extend beyond a single act. They shape the course of history itself, intertwining personal, cosmic, and existential stakes. In reflecting on Loki, we uncover lessons that reach beyond myth. He embodies the principle that unpredictability is essential for growth, that challenge is necessary for adaptation, and that disruption, while uncomfortable, often sparks ingenuity. He is the force that tests the gods, that shakes the foundations of what is comfortable and expected, forcing resilience, courage, and creativity to emerge. Loki's story reminds us that life is never linear, never simple. Transformation comes through tension, insight emerges through uncertainty, and balance is maintained not by rigidity, but by the dynamic interplay of order and disorder. In this, he is not simply a figure of mischief, he is a teacher, a mirror, and a reminder that growth often emerges from the most unexpected sources. If you found yourself captivated by the twists and turns of Loki's tale, there's much more to explore. From the intricate myths of the Aesir to the prophecies of Ragnarök, each story holds new layers, new revelations, and new mysteries waiting to be discovered. Dive deeper, follow the threads of the myths, and see how these ancient narratives continue to resonate in ways both profound and unexpected. For more journeys into mythology, history, and the forces that shape the worlds of gods and men, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a story. Share your thoughts in the comments. What does Loki's trickster spirit mean to you? How do you see chaos and order playing out in your own life? Every story we explore here is an invitation to witness, to reflect, and to understand the forces that have shaped humanity's imagination for centuries. Join us as we continue to step into these worlds, walking the line between myth and reality, chaos and order, curiosity and discovery. Loki remains, ever unpredictable, ever necessary, and his stories, like the universe itself, are never truly finished.